You don't,
Yes.
your day one doesn't start after you get your degree. Your day one starts where you say, I want to be a sports agent. I want to be a publicist. I want to be a marketer. Whenever you declare that that profession.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Danielle. I am the CEO and co-founder of The Connect. I am here today with Clint Reyes, who is also the CEO and founder of King Sports and Entertainment. We're just going to have a nice little quick chat, connect over coffee. I have my coffee here. It's actually tea. I'm not really a coffee drinker. Just forewarning there. But yeah, let's kick it off. First question I do have to ask, Clinton, coffee or tea drinker? That's a hot topic in my company here.
First of all, when you raise your glass, I scratch my head because I got a bottle of water with me today, so my bad. But I'm a coffee drinker all day long. So coffee over tea for sure for me.
Okay, nice. Now, I'm actually more of a hot chocolate drinker.
Ah, okay.
Little small fun fact: cocoa bean actually has more caffeine in it than a coffee bean.
Yeah. Well, interesting. I may need to go get me one for the rest of my day today. That's
I know. It's a little Jeopardy question for you to take with you.
I see. I love it.
No, but definitely let's hop into it. We're going to do like a quick 2-minute drill. I'm just going to rapid fire questions at you just to get you a little warmed up here before we get into the meat of the conversation.
All right, let's get it.
All right. So, favorite athlete?
Tiger Woods.
Favorite sports team?
Buffalo Bills.
It's Buffalo Bills. Nice one. All right. Song that gets you hyped every time it comes on the radio or on your playlist?
It's got to be by Drake. Oh, gosh, there's so many of them. I don't know them by names, but let's just say any Drake song, I'm with it right there. Okay.
That leads perfectly into my next question, Drake or Kanye?
Oh, come on now. Bypass that. That's not even up for debate. And if it is, y'all don't at me because it's Drake. Aubrey, Drake, Graham all day. Let's just leave it at that.
A little bit old school, Tupac or Biggie?
Biggie.
Biggie, okay. Favorite sports movie?
Blindside.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, I like that one. What is the one thing you can't leave your house without?
My phone. Oh, yeah.
Your phone.
I would leave my house without car keys and then walk back in to get them. My phone is that's always with me. So, yeah.
That's a good one. I've left my phone before, and it was actually quite refreshing not being hit up all the time. But then when you got back,
I feel so lost. I'm just like, what do I do?
It was just me in the car driving, and then when I got back and found it, that was game over.
That would send me into a frenzy. I couldn't function.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's get into it a little bit. King Sports and Entertainment. Let's talk about the fruition there. I see you went from being a beat writer with the Orlando Magic, then to client talent relationships with the NFL players, NBA players. Talk a little bit about how you that career road went from that beginning start to where you are now with King Sports and Entertainment.
It's funny. There's one step ahead of even the beat writer where I even got into this. I was a branch manager with a rental car company. I'll just say that. I won't say the name. And it was in Orlando, and Orlando has this very notorious NFL pre-draft training program right outside the gates of Walt Disney World at Tom Shaw Trading Academy or Wireless Sports. And one day I'm working my shift like normal, and I met a player, Morgan Burnett, who at the time was Georgia Tech. I think it was a safety there. And he was training for the combine, and renting a car, ended up returning the month of more rental to my branch. And me just kind of knowing athletes at the time, I said, man, like Morgan, if you need any rental cars throughout your journey in the NFL, took out my card, wrote my cell phone number on the back, and gave it to him. Like 2 weeks later, he actually texted me. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna need this rental here and this. Yeah. So I ended up starting this booking cars and kind of became a concierge. So I started a business before the one I'm in now, just doing rental car bookings, hotel bookings, flight bookings, and servicing agents for their players. And that kind of got my foot into the door and eventually led me to the Orlando Magic, where I met some of the right folks and eventually worked for free as a beat writer for the Orlando Times just to get that access to be around, the movers and the shakers, get the credential, and just start to look for doors that can open up the other door. So that's kind of how it started for me.
Yeah, and then going into where you are now with the leading sports marketing creative agency there, where was there that time in your career where it was like a fork in a road, essentially, where if you went down this path, the continuance path that you were on, you staying path right there, or you take that leap of faith going this direction? And how did that kind of work out for you?
You mean when you say the fork in the road, was there any doubt that I should not create King Sports, or did I see an opportunity to branch off in a different direction while I was already established?
Yeah, definitely a little bit of both. Was there doubt going on your own, branching out on your
Yeah,
own and creating a business? And then
there was.
that
I can tell
opportunity
you.
is greater.
Oh yeah. Any entrepreneur would tell you the biggest fear, or at least I'll tell you this as an entrepreneur, the biggest fear that I had was you leave your 9-to-5 job with insurance and
Yeah.
paid time off, and people telling you when to come to work, when to leave work, that structure, and going into the field of entrepreneurship where you're your own boss and you have to create everything, and stuff that people overlook, like you got to buy your own insurance, you got to pay taxes, you got to do things, and you're held accountable. So,
Yeah.
when you branch out and you want to do that, you're like, wow, I lose that safety net. So naturally, when I started it, I said, okay, this is do or die. And you always have the thought in the back of your mind, like, God, how embarrassing would it be that if this doesn't work out, now I got to go back into the workforce and explain, so that part of it, I think, is natural. But I overcame that. That's just who I am as a tenacious person, that I wasn't going to fail. I wasn't going to fail. I was going to find a way to make it work. And then part two of that question is like, do I have opportunities now that present themselves? Yeah. Like I have people approach me all the time about aligning with them, partnerships. And those are always intriguing conversations and stuff I explore all the time. And that's, what can lead me into new avenues, take the business into new levels. So I'm definitely open to those conversations and open-minded to grow, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. Now let's get into one thing I think is very important. It's relationship building your network and your brand, your personal brand yourself, especially in your line of business where you have to create partnerships, where you have to market you yourself is why they should come on and be a part of your agency there. Can you just talk a little bit about how that's helped your career and the relationships that you built and some advice that you can give?
Let me tell you, I'm going to give you anyone in the sports and entertainment business, athlete management, publicists, communications people, you have to learn to trust.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like on a love relationship level, like in the business sense, we're so competitive and we're so protective over our clients and our resources. And, I don't want to share this contact, or I want to hold this number back. But you stunt your growth big time by doing that. Because I'll give you a tangible example. I represent Jamal Adams, which is the highest paid safety in the NFL. He went number 6 overall in the 2017 draft. That's a very valuable client to me. And going in, I didn't really seek other opportunities that would come in through my email because it came from a competitive agency or a procurement company. And eventually I was like, dang, like, are they trying to recruit him? Are they trying to steal him from me by doing something different? And you don't want to stunt his growth or stop other opportunities that they could get because of my own internal, flaws, I should call it. So I've learned to just screen people accordingly, look at the track records, team up with like-minded people like myself. But, you have to know with growth in this business, you don't know everything. And you have to be willing to team up to get a larger share of something. And since I've been able to adjust to that mindset, I've seen more fruits of my labor. And I wish I would have done it coming out the gate. And it's not too late, but 100% of my strategy in my business now is partnership driven. So, that's my new mentality going forward.
Yeah. And then just leading off of that, how do you go about building those partnerships even further? So let's just say this particular brand works with one of your clients here. Do you market that same brand to a different client of yours that's like-minded?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, a secret. I'm putting this out to the world now. A secret that a lot of big time agencies do, even though their clients are getting deals, that agency may not be the one in essence finding the deal. Some folks like myself may have a relationship with a brand, and the brand's like, "Oh, we love the deal that we did with you. Do you have any other referrals that you can bring to us?" And I'll go tap in with a big agency here or a small agency here or an individual that's rep by himself, and I'll extend the offer. And then, there's deals that are made to make it make sense. But absolutely, the ecosystem is very connected. And, that goes into the whole trust thing. You have the reciprocation of I'll be able to pitch your client while not claiming him or her, right? But saying, I'll just connect you guys to the brand. That happens every day, more than not.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things, kind of like question, have you ever had to walk away from a partnership on either the brand side or even the player side, where and obviously don't have to mention the player or the brand there, but where it just didn't align with your goals, your mission, and your values?
Yes, on multiple occasions. That was something too that I had to, um, there you have to have thick skin in this business. It's okay to have friends, but in business, I mean, it's a different level of understanding. And I set that very clear in the beginning, right? That we are a responsible type of company where it's client first. And if things that you're doing is not in their best interest, I got to pump your brakes. We've had to do that with media on several occasions where we'll pre-screen something, and then during an interview, and it's live, and you can't reverse after you're live, and then something happens. So I let them go through with the episode, but after that, say, okay, well, you can go ahead and delete my email, and this is why. So you have to do that and hopefully those folks kind of learn that you burn a bridge, and when you burn the bridge with me, who knows what was behind me, what my ecosystem was, and where that could have connected you to. So it's just not worth it at the end of the day. But yeah, that happens to everybody. That's like just, I don't want to make it sound like it's a backstabbing situation, but there's always folks that are looking for their moment of glory, and they'll do whatever they want to earn that, right? And I have to have my antennas up as a good client or athlete manager to make sure they're protected. King Sports Entertainment has always looked at a good light, and we stay above the water. That's the end all be all. Just keep your head above the water.
Yeah, it's all about integrity at the end of the day as well. If you do everything that's asked of a brand or asked of the client, then you start to lose yourself a little bit. And so I completely understand that. And then going off back to that networking, one of the quote I always see and I always read is like, networking is so underrated. Like you can literally gain money from just being around the right group of people by networking. Can you just elaborate a little bit more on that quote and what it really means to be successful?
I actually I did a guest speaking, and I rarely do guest speaking, but a professor from St. Bonaventure University invited me to speak to, I think it was like the business of the NFL, which is an MBA course for their sports entertainment degree up there. And I went and spoke in front of the students, and they were all very sharp. And at the end of the conversation we had, the professor was like, "Any questions?" And he saw more questions being raised at that moment than anything that he's had with past guest speakers. And I think it's because I kept it so raw and real. And I told them that I commend you guys for being in school, but let me tell you the real secret to what's going to make you successful when you leave here. It's who you meet when you are there. Okay. Your day one doesn't start after you get your degree. Your day one starts where you say, I want to be a sports agent. I want to be a publicist. I want to be a marketer. Whenever you declare that thing, that profession, you have to start building on that. And that means networking, work your LinkedIn, connect on Instagram, connect on Twitter, whatever social media, find the Danielles of the world. You got to just make it work, because people like us, we've been around for a long time, and we've made a lot of errors. We've figured it out, but our 10, 15 year, 20-year histories, the students of the world, through the power of networking, they can bring that 20-year history down to 1 year, right? Just by getting straight to the expertise. And the books that are written, these are 50-year-old books. These are 100-year-old books. They're not adjusting with the time. So the only way to live in the now and to successfully network is to continuously connect yourself with the folks that are doing it, because they're in the trenches. So I hope that answered your question about networking. Networking is everything.
That is. And then just to piggyback on that, once you make that connection, it's actually one of the things I've struggled with myself, is that continuation of building that relationship. You never want to be a bother, or think you're bothering them by continuously working out, asking them questions, looking for job referrals. So how do you get over that hump? Or what would you say to a student who's a little bit more, quiet, doesn't know how to get over that hump of not being a bother?
I had a mentorship call yesterday with a young lady, and this came up. And she's like, well, what do I talk about? I said, the one thing you do not talk about or ask is for a job with the person I'll connect you to. That's because that's not what networking is. Don't look for the opportunity quickly. Look for the strengths in that person that made them successful. Try to find the inner strengths and look for the synergy. Once you guys hit it off, you know what you're establishing? A friendship. once the friendship happens, then that person lets you into their network of friends, which are odds are going to be other successful people, because successful people hang out with winners.
Yes.
All right. So I always tell them, be yourself, but don't go in with an agenda. Go in to talk, but you have that match in the beginning is so critical that you don't want to just go after a random person. You got to do your diligence and saying like, this person that I'm looking to connect with is in an industry that I want to work in. They may be male or female. That's important to connect on a different level. Age group is a different level of connection there, because someone that's 21 maybe connecting different with someone that's 65. And I'm not discriminating because of age, but there's a different level of understanding to the hustle in generations, right? So for that, I just try to connect like-minded people with like-minded people, and then see if the light bulb goes off, and you just build on that. And always end your conversation with, let's set up a calendar meeting for the next time we'll talk. Don't ever cut it off, because once you cut it off, it's hard to get back in. Everybody's busy. Yes. So end it with leading on to something else, and you grow.
No, and I think that's important what you said about having either a male or female. I've been fortunate enough to have a female and a male mentor in the sports and entertainment industry, and on two different age levels as well. Just the insight picking from both of them, and they're both top in their careers. It's very refreshing. It's very rewarding as well. And then going off of that mentorship, how important do you think it is to have a sponsor, someone who's going to champion for you when you're not in the room, and build it? How do you get a sponsor essentially?
I honestly don't think you can do it by yourself. So you have to. Mentors are great. People that'll just give you insight. That's fine, right? You're learning. But that sponsor is that one person that is going to take you under their wing, right? For no other obligation, and say, I want to make sure you are going to succeed. Yeah. Right. Because I'm paying it forward. I was once in your shoes. I'm going to do this. I'm going to invest in you. So part of networking is searching for that right sponsor, right? You got to find that person that's like, you don't owe them anything. They don't owe you anything, but you want to make them proud. Right. So you keep showing results, and you build up from, hey, here was the first day we met. Look what I'm doing now. And I could always turn back and say, I'm at the place in my race, my victorious race, because of the person that was there at the starting line with me. Yeah. Right. I always revert back.
Yeah. I think that was one of the biggest things that you just said. You want to make them proud. Like that. Yeah. With my mentor, that is always something I always continue, and why, I work the way I do, but like to make them proud. Like, hey, you were the first person to take a chance on me. Now I'm going to.
Isn't it crazy? Yeah. And it's tough to do it in the open market that people are, they're not in your organization. Yeah. Because you don't want to get it confused now. There's certain bosses that'll be a mentor for you because they have to, because they're getting paid to do that. You don't want to find those people. You want to find the real, genuine, down to earth folks that blue collar, come from nothing. They're like, we get out of the mud together, and here's why I want you to win. Right. And you have to have a knack to pick out certain individuals like that. And there's not a lot out there, because some folks just don't want to see you shine, or they want to see you do good, but not better than them. Right. So the weeding out process is real critical, just to find the ones that truly care.
And do you think it matters if that mentor is in the business that you want to be, or in the sports industry in general, or is it okay to find that high school teacher that still champions for you now?
Yeah. I think it's always good to just find people in general who want to root for your success and who can be there for you. But also, tangibly speaking, you're going to only find the connections to the stuff that's relevant and what you're trying to succeed in is if they're in your industry, right? Because that's the ecosystem and network you're looking to identify. So for that reason, you got to be good at who you're honing with, and get the ones that can truly bring value to what you're trying to accomplish. Otherwise, you just got a good friend, and you got a great friend, and there's nothing wrong in that. But at the end of the day, you're trying to accomplish something. So I think it's a good balance of both is the answer.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely good. That's good advice right there. One of the things I just want to go back to, or actually more talking about you and yourself there. Yeah. What have you ever had like a Michael Jordan moment, your MJ moment, where someone has doubted you or said you couldn't do this or that, and in the back of your head, you always kept that as motivation to prove them wrong? Do you have a moment like that?
Yeah. Several, actually. It's tough, I don't know which one I really want to share, because I don't talk publicly about it too much, but in this industry, there's only one. Again, I mentioned Jamal, so I'm gonna talk about Jamal again. There's only one of him. He's heavily recruited. And when I branched off at the time of where I was at in my career, I was actually with another agency, and I was in-house and I was doing a lot of things, and I'm very proud of, what I made and built with them. And when I left, it was tough, right? And they didn't really want to see me leave per se, because I was the reason some of their clients came to them. So I've had to deal with, you got to make the right moves for yourself, right? The folks that, I don't want to call them naysayers or doubters or people who root for your failure, but in your heart and in your gut feeling, do what's best for you. There's an element of, and I'm just gonna call it what it is.
Yeah.
You got to be stingy to win in this business. You got to put yourself first. Don't lose integrity, like you mentioned, right? Don't cheat, lie, or steal. But when you have that tenacious attitude that says, I'm gonna be stingy for me, here's my goals, and I got to accomplish my goals, right? And I got to do what I got to do to get there. So, that's some things that when I look back and say, who was holding me down? Where were the weights? A lot of times it was just myself, because I was feeding into the energy that some folks that were in my ear were giving that, and I would let that hit me. So I don't do that anymore. But that's the best thing to do, is just focus on you, have the horse blockers on, keep everybody off to the sides, and be on your goals, 24/7.
Yeah. And I think what's important to say, some people who give you that moment in your life don't even do it intentionally. They think they're giving you great advice, and you're just like, no, that, you just leave it.
Too much feedback, criticism or non-criticism, it'll confuse you. It'll throw you off from your goal. Having your goal is one thing, but having to track, like, what am I going to do to get there? Checking these things off. And if someone comes and is like, hey, Clint, maybe you should do it this way, or I heard it was better this way, or this is the way I did it. That's not the way that, my skill set is going to allow me to accomplish my goal. So it can throw you off your pivot,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my team can tell you, I talk about my MJ moment. I have a few myself. I won't mention no, but one goes all the way back to high school with a certain person, so I'll just leave it at that. It's a long story. I'll just leave it at that, but it definitely was my MJ moment. And it's like,
good. Yeah.
Progressed. And now I go back to like, well, I did do what you said. Even though they were trying to give advice in the right way, it just wasn't the right advice for me. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I think we have to kind of look through that when we're listening to people, and people who are in maybe authority places or authoritative positions, giving you advice and taking maybe the advice they're giving, but chopping it up to make sure it works for you. So that's something I learned well on back in high school, and in that MJ moment of, I don't know if you want to call it revenge or just motivation or determination.
Motivation. Yeah.
And that's
it's just like, the athletes I represent, they come out with all these critics, the scouts are giving them grades, and they're going to go this round, they're going to this round, they're going to slide because of this, they're not going to get drafted high because of personality. And I have to tell them as their rep too, going in, like, you got to just play ball, control what you can control, because draft day is destiny. Teams will pick you based on skill and need, and a combination of everything you've done over the course of your career. But the scouts leading up to it and all these opinions and mocks, that don't mean anything. So that's how I would compare it. Is just focus on you. That's it.
Yeah. Has there ever been that time where you told one of your clients something and you just kind of like, maybe, damn, I wish I didn't say that to them, or I wish I could have steered them in a little bit of a better direction there?
No, I'm gonna knock on wood here and kind of sound a little cocky and say I don't give it bad advice, but I don't. Nice. All right, because I have to be the best person for them, that they hired me to do this job, right? So when I'm bringing them advice, it's because I made a conscious decision to screen every possible element of negativity and say, here, player, this is what you need to do. Now, when I tell them some things, they don't want to hear some of those things, because they have in their mind, and a lot of these guys are 18, 19, 20, 21 millionaires, right? So how do you tell someone how to control their money or live their life or make a decision when we're different, right?
Yes.
But they know the ones that get it will listen, and they'll trust the decisions and look at our track record and say, this is why we've hired this firm, because they're going to put me in the best position possible. So I don't let that be a factor. Letting people think about what I'm trying to tell them, it's coming from a good place and it's coming from experience.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, definitely. And I can't even imagine myself being 18, 19, 21. I remember someone trying to give me advice in my career, and I was just like,
yeah. You know it all.
I know it all. Don't tell me how to do this. Number one salesperson right now. You can't tell me anything. And then looking back, I find myself giving that exact same advice that I wasn't taking when I was 21, fresh out of college, thought I knew everything. So I can only imagine with some of the athletes dealing with the money that they're about to make or making, and trying to give
Yep.
them a little bit of tips and tricks. So good luck. Kudos to you for doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And just going back to it, what is the moment so far in your career or personal life that you are most proud of to date?
The creation of my company in 2018. I've been at it since 2008, but the name of my company, King Sports Entertainment, although you may have kind of just thought, okay, maybe that means king because of crown and it's the highest, whatever. Mm-hmm. King actually in Spanish means Reyes. My last name is Reyes. Okay. Yes. And that's why it was named that way. More specifically, my firstborn son, Landon, he was born on my birthday, January 19th. So a lot of what I do is very, very driven to my family and, to him. I have 2 young boys now, but so this is personal to me, you know what I mean, for what I do. And that's what drives me. That's what keeps me going. And that's why I pick the clients I pick, because they know this isn't going to be a business that I'll sell, right? This is a family business. And those are the ones that just go on for time and they go and go and go. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of how I take my approach at things.
Yeah. And then I'm most proud of. If your sons in the future want to get into that entertainment, they have that generation right there, which I think is very important, especially with our communities that we come from, to build that nice little step that they have above that some others, have come from, and kind of given back to our communities right there as well. So
right.
I love it for sure. I love the name, and thank you for explaining to what King means. Yeah. I was definitely like, King, that makes sense. Sports King, top of it, but explaining it in different ways.
Yeah, exactly.
More of a family and meaningful thought behind it there. Yeah. So at the end of it, our conversation here, we always have my team. At every conversation we do, we have a segment called "The Shit You Wish You Would Have Knew," and essentially that means what is.
It's got a ring to it.
It's because when you talk about it, you say, "Oh man, I wish I would have knew that shit."
You wish you would have knew. Okay, yeah, true.
Yeah, and so essentially, just going off of that right there, what is something either you wish you could tell your younger self, or just the younger audience listening, that you know now, but you wish you would have known back in the day?
Going back to the networking thing, I didn't know that networking was number one back in the day. I thought school was number one. And school is a close number one. But number one is who you know. So I truly wish I could have just networked a little bit harder. And I'm not even talking about high school. I was a go-getter in high school. But coming out of 8th grade, and that's going to sound like I'm, it's really, really young. But you got to start positioning yourself in clubs, like, Rotary clubs, Business Professionals of America, FBLA clubs, any type of extracurricular where you can just meet mentors, meet successful people, and align yourself early. You know what I mean? You got to establish that. That I think would get you ahead of that learning curve years ahead, and just sets you up for quicker success. That's one thing I wish I would have knew.
Yeah, no, that's actually I wish I would have knew too, especially in college. I was an athlete in college. So I thought, I ain't need to go to these networking career events. I wish I would have known that back then.